properties dialog for that. We're going to go to quick properties for that template drop. When we do this, notice we're returned back to things like the interval, the template name, the start and end station range. So if things change and you're more comfortable with keying them in, you can do that here. If you want to browse a different template, you can do that here. Change the interval, you can do that here. So just want to point that out. Now, a little tip, I don't know how Scott does this, but this section for description, anytime I do work, I don't use descriptions unless it's something really unique, like a phasing thing or something like that, or, I'll just put in a note. That way it stands out, because if everything had a description, then it doesn't really look any different than anything else. So just a little tidbit there. All right, so just kind of wanted to share that. If we come back through, we saw how we can access those context tools. We saw the results of our model, this first pass generated line work. We learned a little bit about how to touch the corridor, open the quick properties for it, the template drop, also opening the quick properties and the different fields that we could edit there. And then just as a bonus, I showed you how to change the size of the arrows. But what we're going to do next is we're going to increase the detail even further. So for this one, I'm going to kind of dress this up a little bit. I'm going to zoom in here to where the curve is. So see in my 3D model where that curve is. I've zoomed in, and I want you to notice the interval. It's kind of choppy. It's densifying in the curves where it needs to, but we're going to increase the detail of this. Now, what I'm going to do in this one is I'm going to actually change this to a final design stage. So we're going to change it from conceptual to, well, I put it on design. We're going to take it all the way up to final. So, if y'all remember, this was done with the corridor handle. So there's the corridor for London Road. If I select that handle, as you can see on my screen, I'm hovering on it. Then I hover on it again with my mouse. We get that quick properties. Let's go ahead and select it and change that feature definition this time to final. It's going to process, and the model just gets even more detailed. So this would be what I would give to the contractor, or something like that, as far as the level of detail I want to give them. All right. So just a little bit about the model, how we can change the detail, increase, control performance. Let's add some more template drops now to our model here. To do this, we're actually going to utilize on our ribbon, we're going to go up to corridors. And previously on the create panel there on the ribbon, that group panel called create, we originally used new corridor. What we're going to use this time is new template drop. Now, when we choose the new template drop, it's going to ask us to locate a corridor. So notice once I made that selection, my mouse is now prompting me to pick the corridor. So I want to add another folder in the briefcase, is the way I like to think of it. So we're going to select that corridor, and I'm going to get a prompt. It's asking for a template. We're going to use the Alt key and the down arrow, just like we learned earlier. Alt key plus down arrow. Now on this one, we're going to pick the urban template. So it's right below the previous one. We've got the 2 lanes, turn lane, and plus urban there. And we're going to go ahead and say OK. Now, when I do that, nothing really happens. My mouse is just showing me the result of the selection. This is where we have to confirm it. So I'm going to left mouse click to confirm that we're actually going to be using that template. Now, interestingly enough, it says start station. Well, I want to start where I ended before. So for me, I'm going to come all the way back to the end of that model. You remember that section here on the road I talked about where we have that line we drew. Let's go ahead and let's hover on that line again. So AccuSnap grabs the end of that line. Notice I've got a gold X, a little symbol there showing I have my key point snap enabled there. When I left click, to confirm the start station, it's reading that in and now asking me for the ending station. Now, interestingly enough, on this project, if I zoom out, I want you to see it doesn't go all the way to the end of the geometry. Turns out, project limits end at 91 plus 00. So we're going to key in 91 plus 00. However, nice little tip, if you guys look at my input, notice it says 90 plus, in my case, 44 point some number, right? There's a plus in there, delimiter. Watch when I type in 9100. I've got 9100, no plus. Save yourself a keystroke. When I go ahead and choose tab, notice it puts the plus in. So don't key in extra characters if you don't need them. Your C file is setting